They called him worthless, a boy with no money, no power, no future. Society laughed at his dreams and treated him like he didn't belong. Then he fell in love with America's richest girl, someone born into a world he could never enter. She had everything money could buy. He had only a loyal heart and fearless love. When her family tried to crush him and the world stood against them, he refused to let go, because true love doesn't ask for status, only courage. He was born in a forgotten neighborhood where dreams died young. His house was small, his clothes were old, and his future was something people laughed at. From childhood, he learned what it felt like to be invisible. Teachers expected little from him, employers paid him less, and strangers judged him before he ever spoke. Every day, he heard the same word whispered behind his back: worthless. Yet inside him lived a quiet strength, a belief that his life had value even if the world refused to see it. To survive, he worked odd jobs after school, cleaning floors, delivering food, fixing things others didn't want to touch. While rich kids talked about vacations and inheritances, he talked about responsibility. He dreamed not of wealth, but of dignity. All he wanted was a life where he could stand tall without shame. Still, no matter how hard he tried, society kept reminding him of his place. His life changed the day he met her. It wasn't at a party or a luxury event, but in an ordinary place where she didn't look like America's richest girl. She was quiet, curious, and surprisingly kind. He didn't know who she was at first, only that she listened when he spoke. For the first time, someone from a different world treated him like an equal. That single moment planted something dangerous in his heart: hope. As they met again, a bond slowly formed. Their conversations were simple but honest. He talked about struggle and self-respect. She talked about pressure and loneliness behind wealth. Despite her fortune, she felt trapped by expectations, while he felt trapped by poverty. They were different, yet strangely alike. Love grew naturally, without plans or promises, just two hearts finding comfort in each other. The truth eventually came out. He learned she was America's richest girl, heir to a billion-dollar empire. Fear hit him instantly. He saw the distance between them more clearly than ever before. But she didn't pull away. Instead, she chose him. That choice, however, invited the world's cruelty. When her elite circle discovered him, the insults began. They mocked his background, his clothes, and his worth. Her family dismissed him as a phase, an embarrassment. Whispers turned into open humiliation. He was told, directly and indirectly, that love had rules, and he didn't qualify. The outline ends with his first real test. Standing alone, facing rejection from a powerful world, he must decide: walk away quietly and accept the label he's always been given, or stand firm and protect the love that finally made him feel human. This moment defines him, not as a poor boy, but as a man willing to fight for his worth. She grew up surrounded by glass towers, private jets, and people who agreed with everything she said. From the outside, her life looked perfect. America's richest girl, protected by money and power. But inside, she felt lonely. Every friendship was calculated, every smile expected, every future decision already planned by others. Love to her family was not a feeling, but a transaction. She had never known what it meant to be chosen for who she truly was. He came from the opposite world. His life was built on struggle, not security. He counted every dollar, fixed what was broken instead of replacing it, and learned early that nothing would be handed to him. Yet despite having nothing, he carried something rare: honesty. When he spoke to her, there was no fear, no agenda, no desire to impress. He didn't treat her like a prize. He treated her like a person. That difference slowly drew her toward him. Their love developed quietly. They met in places where wealth didn't matter: parks, late-night cafes, empty streets where they could talk freely. He listened to her frustrations about expectations and control. She listened to his stories of being ignored and underestimated. In each other, they found relief. She felt free for the first time. He felt seen. Money faded into the background, replaced by something far more powerful: connection. But secrets never last. When her father, one of the most powerful men in America, discovered the relationship, he saw it as a threat. To him, the boy wasn't a person. He was a risk to reputation, legacy, and control. The father summoned him not with anger, but with cold confidence. In a private meeting, he offered the boy money, more than he had ever seen in his life, in exchange for disappearing from her world. The offer shook him. For someone who had lived with nothing, the money could change everything. It could erase his struggles, secure his future, and finally prove his worth to society. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was love worth sacrificing everything else? Was he being selfish by staying? In the end, his answer was simple. He refused. Calmly, respectfully, but firmly. He told her father that love wasn't for sale, and that walking away for money would make him truly worthless. That decision stunned the powerful man, who had never been defied by someone with so little to lose. The rejection triggered consequences. Her family turned hostile. The boy was labeled a gold digger publicly, his intentions questioned by the media and elite society. Lies spread faster than truth. The girl was placed under pressure, warned that choosing him would cost her everything. This outline ends with the stakes raised higher than ever. Love has crossed into open conflict. The boy stands alone against wealth and power, armed with nothing but integrity. And the world watches, waiting to see whether love without money can survive the wrath of those who have everything. The storm broke in public. What had once been whispered behind closed doors was now exposed under bright lights and curious eyes. The Richest girl's family decided it was time to end the relationship, not quietly, but decisively. They believed shame would succeed where threats had failed. An invitation arrived for a grand charity event attended by politicians, billionaires, and the media. The boy knew he didn't belong there, but he went, because love had already taught him how to face discomfort. The moment he stepped into the hall, he felt it. Eyes scanned him from head to toe, measuring his worth in seconds. His suit was borrowed, his confidence hard-earned. Conversations paused, smiles thinned. He stood among people who had never known hunger, yet spoke endlessly about generosity. At her side, he felt both proud and terrified. She held his hand, but the pressure around them tightened. During the event, her father made his move. In a speech disguised as wisdom, he spoke about knowing one's place, about legacy, class, and protecting family honor. The message was clear, and the audience understood. Laughter followed, soft, cruel, and intentional. Cameras turned toward the boy. Social media erupted within minutes, dissecting his background, mocking his presence, questioning his worth. Humiliation burned deep. Every insult he had heard growing up echoed in that room. Worthless, nobody, dreamer. He could feel anger rising, begging to be released. One reaction, one mistake, and they would prove their point. Instead, he chose silence. He stood still, his face calm, his eyes steady. He refused to give them the satisfaction of breaking him. The girl watched in horror. Torn between love and loyalty, she felt her world crack. For the first time, she saw the cruelty of her family clearly. She wanted to speak, to defend him, but fear and shock held her back. That hesitation haunted her instantly. The next day, the headlines were merciless. Memes, insults, and false stories spread everywhere. He was painted as a manipulator chasing wealth. Employers avoided him. Strangers judged him. The weight of public shame pressed down harder than poverty ever had. This outline follows his internal battle. Alone at night, he questions his worth, his choices, and whether love is enough to survive such cruelty. But instead of collapsing, he grows quieter, stronger. He decides not to fight back publicly, not to beg for understanding. His strength becomes restraint. The outline ends with separation, not dramatic, but painful. He steps away to protect her from further damage, believing silence is his final act of love. As he walks away, the world thinks he's defeated. In truth, this moment marks the birth of a strength no amount of money can destroy. The separation was supposed to end everything. That was the family's plan. Without him, they believed their daughter would return to her controlled, perfect life. But instead of forgetting him, the distance sharpened her resolve. For the first time, she questioned every rule she had followed without resistance. Silence no longer felt like protection. It felt like surrender. Love, she realized, wasn't weakness. It was truth. Behind closed doors, pressure intensified. Her father reminded her of contracts, shareholders, and public image. Advisors warned her that association with him could cost billions. Every conversation framed love as a liability. She was offered luxury, freedom to travel, and influence, everything except the one thing she wanted. Each demand pushed her closer to defiance. Meanwhile, he tried to rebuild his life quietly. He avoided the spotlight, focused on work, and struggled to heal. Though heartbroken, he refused to speak badly about her or her family. He believed dignity was his last possession. Yet walking away didn't erase the pain. Every sacrifice he made felt incomplete without her. Their worlds collided again when she made a choice no one expected. At a major business announcement with cameras watching, she spoke openly, not about profits, but about freedom. She acknowledged the man she loved and refused to deny him any longer. Her words were calm but explosive. Markets reacted, headlines screamed, and the family's control cracked. Her act turned love into rebellion. Supporters praised her courage, critics called her reckless. Investors panicked. Her father felt betrayed. The cost of love became real and immediate. Privileges were revoked, protections removed, and her future threatened. The outline ends with the hardest decision yet. Seeing the damage caused by her stand, he considers leaving forever, believing his presence only brings her suffering. Love now demands the ultimate sacrifice. The question is no longer whether they love each other, but whether love should survive if it destroys everything else. Time changed everything, but not his heart. After walking away, the world expected him to disappear quietly. Another forgotten name crushed by wealth and power. Instead, he chose a different path. Without anger or revenge, he focused on rebuilding himself. He worked relentlessly, learned new skills, and chased purpose rather than validation. He wasn't trying to impress the rich or reclaim lost love. He was trying to become someone he could respect when he looked in the mirror. Life didn't transform overnight. There were failures, long nights, and moments when doubt returned. But something had changed inside him. The humiliation he once carried became fuel. He learned that being called worthless did not define his worth. It revealed the blindness of those who judged him. Slowly, opportunities appeared. People noticed his discipline, his integrity, and his refusal to compromise his values. Meanwhile, her world was unraveling. The rebellion that shocked society came at a heavy cost. She lost privileges, influence, and the illusion of unconditional support from her family. But in that loss, she found clarity. For the first time, she made choices without permission. She stepped away from the empire that had controlled her life and began building an identity of her own. Wealth still surrounded her, but it no longer defined her. Fate brought them together again, not through drama, but through quiet coincidence. This time, the power dynamic had shifted. He stood confident, grounded, and self-made, not rich in billions, but rich in purpose. She saw in him the same heart she had loved, now strengthened by struggle. There were no apologies demanded, no blame spoken, only understanding. Society watched their reunion with disbelief. The boy once mocked now commanded respect. The girl once trapped now stood free. The labels that once controlled them lost their power. Those who called him worthless were forced to confront the truth, that worth is not inherited or bought, it is built. The story ends not with revenge, but with resolution. Love survives not because it defeated money, but because it outgrew it. He proved them wrong, not by becoming rich, but by becoming unbreakable. And in the end, the world learned what he always knew deep inside. The richest heart often belongs to the one who started with nothing.